Hello, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, you get two Shapiros for the price of one. I will have the pleasure to actually talk with someone that actually met her by a book and by the recommendation of an amazing friend and amazing dentist, Dr. Kelman. And right now, I will have the pleasure to have my second conversation with Dr. Nina Shapiro. That apart from being an amazing ENT pediatric surgeon, she actually created a beautiful book and has been destroying myths after one and the other. And she's actually vaccinating our community against fear with a dose of truth. And that's what the way that she has been doing it on and off. And I love talking to her because it's fun, energetic, and we need a little bit of peace of mind right now with all the craziness that's happening. Dr. Nina Shapiro, welcome. How are you?
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Hope you're doing well. It's really nice to see you. Two Shapiros is right.
Two for one, two for one. Doctor, well, let's start with the first one. It's one of the heaviest one. A lot of people are kind of worried about the vaccine, and let's start stabbing that one because I think that the past 2 weeks have been very loaded with that news part of it. Um, have you gotten your shot?
I got my shot. Let's see, where are we? About 5 days ago, and I'm still with everybody. So it's really been exciting. It was kind of like no other shot I've ever gotten. I do go every year and get my flu shot and other boosters that I've needed over the years. But this was different. It was really very celebratory. Everyone was really excited. And I hate needles. I, I kicked my doctor when I was a little kid because he gave me a shot. So I'm very needle phobic. I don't like shots, but this one was so exciting. And, really, I felt very comfortable. I felt relieved afterwards. And I think most important, I really didn't have any symptoms. I had a little bit of a sore arm. You get it usually in your non-dominant arm. I was sore literally for a day or maybe less than a day. And that was it. I felt great.
That's
So, yeah.
awesome to hear because we have had so many interesting things on this the past 2 weeks that our brain is kind of wired to answer to try to fill out with the easiest answer for anything that's happening. You probably have seen like billions of times the nurse that actually fainted. A lot of people when they saw that they were like, "No way! The nurse fainted! I knew it. We're
Yes.
being controlled. That's the way. That's the end of the world." Can
Right.
you please walk us through what happened there?
So people can faint when they get their blood drawn. People can faint when they're at the doctor's just thinking about something really that makes them anxious. So just because you faint, and first of all, the vaccine, wouldn't it be great if it worked that quickly that all of a sudden you're developing these antibodies within seconds? The needle going into your skin and the injection, certainly you can have an anaphylactic reaction, a severe anaphylactic reaction or an allergic reaction minutes afterwards. But the needle itself going in, if you faint, it's from the needle. And people faint from pain, from anxiety, from dehydration all the time. So, it's unfortunate that was how, now all of a sudden everything is going to be based on that one person who had an unfortunate event. But it's not, the vaccine doesn't do anything like that. Certainly, again, people can have allergic reactions, extremely rare, and that's why they actually keep us there for 15 minutes afterwards. We can't just leave right away. You have to stay for 15 minutes, but it's not instantaneous like that. It doesn't work that way.
I agree with you, and the interesting part is that the thing that they never showed that was something that it was painful that she had the pleasure to talk. She woke up after 25 minutes. She came back and she was talking that she does suffer from not anxiety, but she does have, whenever she gets
Mm-hmm.
rattled, she gets the syncope and she falls down. And, as pediatricians, we have seen that a lot with needles procedures and, of course, with teenagers. And
Yes. Yeah.
when that's part of the things that we have. Then, yeah, that's meh,
No, that it's
right.
not. I mean, I can clean somebody's ears and they can faint. I'm
That,
not
that,
putting any vaccines in their ears.
Exactly. I have here, the question from Dr. Chiprut, when I'm going to get a shot. Probably in 2 weeks, he's asking from Facebook Live. And I have here another amazing friend, Dr. Wegman from Mexico. She's a geneticist, and she's part of this conversation too. Dr. Shapiro, I have a question, because you wrote an amazing piece regarding Bell's palsy. We started hearing a lot, like this, a lot of people getting, Bell's paralysis, that you have like a problem with your muscles, something gets disconnected, it's weird, and a lot of people were getting afraid because a lot of, not a lot, a couple of patients actually got it during the Pfizer and Moderna trials. Can you tell us a little bit more about Bell's palsy? How often do you see it? And that connection, if any, with the shot.
Sure. So Bell's palsy is a sudden weakness of the nerve that moves the muscles of the face. So typically it's half of your face will become paralyzed. And interestingly, if you look at a person who has Bell's palsy, the side that's working actually looks more abnormal than the paralyzed side. But that's what Bell's palsy is. Typically, it's from some sort of inflammation around the facial nerve, which has 5 branches that kind of cover the whole face like that. And it makes all of these muscles move, makes you smile, makes your eyes close, makes you grimace. So if that's weak, it looks very obviously abnormal. Viruses can typically make this inflamed. So there have been several cases of Bell's palsy due to COVID infections, having nothing to do with the vaccine. So Bell's palsy can be caused from COVID itself. It can be caused from other viruses, such as the herpes virus, very commonly. And it occurs in about 1 in 10,000 individuals every year in this country. In both vaccine trials, it occurred in 1 in 10,000 individuals. So the incidence is exactly matched to the general incidence in the population.
You heard that, friends. It's okay.
Right. Now, can we say that it wasn't the vaccine? We can't. But we certainly cannot say that it was. Okay?
Exactly. Thank you, Dr. Shapiro, because that's one of the things, and I work here in LA, and a lot of the patients that the moms were very afraid of it, of the concept of getting that. And when I actually quoted you on your article regarding, like, no, wait, like, let's step back and see the numbers. And one of the interesting parts that we're seeing again with this vaccine is that, and probably you have felt it, like they're calling it the COVID-19 vaccine, and I get gastritis, pain here and in my entire body, because we have 210 different vaccines being created, and here in the US, at least, like, we will probably end up with between 5 and 10 that will end up, on the market. Then,
right.
I'm very afraid when they call it only the COVID-19 vaccine and they don't give like a last name, like the COVID vaccine from Moderna or the Pfizer.
Right.
And stuff. Any thoughts about that?
So we have 2 vaccines now that are approved. The Pfizer's actually been rolled out starting last week, and that is an mRNA vaccine. And so is Moderna. And many of us didn't know, myself included, that the word Moderna has mRNA in it. So that's one way to remember that that's also an mRNA vaccine. So the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines are similar in the way they work, which is an mRNA vaccine. The AstraZeneca or Oxford vaccine that you've heard about works a little bit differently because it actually tags on to another virus known as the adenovirus. It's not going to give you adenovirus. So that's also another, we have to be very careful about that. But that's a different mechanism of entering your cells, and that has not been released yet. So we don't really have that much to say. The data so far is quite good, and it probably will be released in the next month or so, I would imagine. But Moderna and Pfizer have very similar mechanisms, and those are mRNA vaccines. So they are not giving a piece of the virus. We have to make sure we understand that. You're not getting a little COVID to protect you from COVID.
I'm going to do a quick shout out from Betty here that says, Nina, you're
Hi,
great.
Betty.
Then I
Love
want
you,
to do that
Betty.
part. And I have from Dr. Chuprut here saying, I pray to have the vaccine for Mexico soon. I don't understand why people are scared about it. You know what, Dr. Chuprut, one of the things that Dr. Shapiro and I have been fighting for is actually making sure that we are sharing information. The worst thing that we can have right now is fear. And you know, when we start like with fear, we start with quackery and we try to do like amazing things that are a miracle and marvelous and not science based. And it's because I think so, or my cousin said so, or in Spanish we say like la comadre me dijo, el compadre me dijo. You know, like my family friend told me that he's very kind with me. But and actually, we're pointing out an interesting question right now. Um, is my DNA going to be changed by the mRNA vaccines?
I used to have blonde hair, and then I got the vaccine. If only. No, I don't want to joke because it is a good question because you hear RNA, it sounds like DNA, and so it must be altering your genetic makeup, and it has nothing to do with that. RNA doesn't work like that. It does not get into the nucleus of your cell where your DNA and your genes are. This is acting to create a protein. And so what the RNA does is it goes into your cell and it binds to the area where proteins are made, not your genetic makeup. This is where proteins are made, and it helps your cells produce a protein very similar to the protein that we're hearing about, the spike proteins. We've all seen those little cartoons of coronavirus, those little spike proteins. So your cells are going to make something that looks like that, and then other cells called your B cells are going to make antibodies, which will bind to those proteins, and those antibodies will stick around if the real spike proteins ever enter your world, which is the coronavirus. So it's going to help you make proteins, but it's not going to do anything to your DNA. It is not that sophisticated. It's a very simple technology, and that's the other thing that I think we need to repeat is that it's a very complicated thing that they did, and it's amazing that they were able to make this, but this is not a new technology that was devised in February of 2020. mRNA technology and mRNA vaccine technology has been around for decades. It's just this specific one that was devised, recent months.
I completely agree with you, and the technology comes from two cousins that we had against, you know, the SARS and MERS. There are actually viruses that we had that were extremely deadly, and in actually Asia and Middle East. Then that's why it was very, very, you know, hard to develop a lot of the technology, and it started in 2002. Then right now we're actually getting the fruits from those, you know, epidemics, because they were so deadly. You know, 10 to 30% of people actually died because of it. Then that's why, you know, it needed to be contained. It was contained. It didn't become the pandemic that we are having right now, and that's why we were so worried about COVID SARS-2, the COVID-19, you know, virus, because people were, you know, we knew what could happen with a coronavirus. You know, it's
Yeah.
there. You know, it can be shared. It could be a mess. And that's why, you know, families, it's not that everybody was waiting until we released the virus to get the vaccine and it was a miracle and it's too fast.
No.
Technology that cooked for a couple of years.
It is. And also, part of the speed that, was moved a little more quickly than other vaccine is that this was given more dollars and research money and research efforts. I mean, there were thousands and thousands of people working on these vaccines as opposed to other vaccines, which may not have that need to move a little more quickly. But they did not skip any steps. They did not rush the trials. They had a huge number of volunteers who participated in these trials, and those are ongoing. So they're still going to be monitoring those, almost close to 100,000 volunteers just in those two vaccines themselves. So it feels rushed, but it really wasn't. And we're just so happy that it is here when we need it desperately.
I know. And Dr. Shapiro, what do you think that we need to share with our community? What other things you have heard that are important to share regarding the vaccines right now?
I think people are really concerned about The DNA, I think most people really do understand that it's not going to alter their DNA. I think one of the most common concerns that I hear is that it's going to give them a coronavirus-like illness and that it can cause coronavirus. And, just as with a lot of people have said over the years, the only time I get the flu is when I get the flu vaccine, and the flu vaccine causes the flu. So I think that has to be really strongly said, is that this vaccine will not cause a COVID infection. But, so for instance, I got the vaccine 5 days ago. If I had been exposed to coronavirus, say 8 days ago, and I come down with coronavirus tomorrow, that's not from the vaccine. That's from an exposure before my immunity has fully developed from having gotten the vaccine. So, but the vaccine will not cause COVID. I think a lot of people think, why would I want a piece of a virus that's so deadly injected into my body when all I want to do is prevent it? Why am I allowing myself to get this? But it's not the virus that we're getting. I think that also needs to be clearly said.
And I agree. And you will be hearing a lot, what are the side effects? And, we'd love to tell you that there's no side effects to the vaccine, but in reality, we need to expect some redness on the arm, some soreness, some inflammation on the area. And the same way, that as Dr. Shapiro right now is sharing, a lot of my friends from Texas, or the other surgeons, ER docs, nurses, amazing people, they're still going to work in ERs, operating rooms, intensive care units, and they are still doing their thing after getting the shot. Then if us, that we're on the line of actually command and actually all the stuff that we're seeing and we're still working, that means that most of us will do perfectly fine.
It was fine. Yeah. But again, some people, I had a little sore arm for less than a day. Some people that I know had, some more, a little bit of body aches. I haven't heard anybody with a fever, but certainly that's a possibility. Some people have some headaches or fatigue, but certainly that's about as severe as it's gotten, and it goes away in less than a day. So, just as you've had other vaccines and sometimes you feel a little bit off, for 12 hours afterwards, that's it, and it's gone. So it's not even like you're recovering from an illness. It's just you're great afterwards. So,
and practically for everybody, the idea of the vaccine is to make sure that your body's understanding something, because the natural way to survive a COVID-19 vaccine, actually a COVID-19 infection, is you need to fight it, and your body actually needs to be strong enough to actually remember that you fought the COVID-19 and survive. Then we're trying to just shorten the process and make sure that you just jump to actually learning from it. And it's practically showing, like the pictures of the most wanted from the FBI. And that's the way that we train your white blood cells and the entire immune system, and go like, these are the bad guys. And that way they actually learn how to do it. Instead of getting you sick, we actually do some type of inflammation, because the body needs that to understand what's happening with the vaccine and remember it. And after that, you're good. Okay, I have a question for you, because you probably have heard a lot. Okay, you're vaccinated right now. You're going to get your booster shot in a couple of weeks, and you'll be having the 2 shots. You're going to wait a period until you have enough antibodies in your body. Can you take away your masks?
No, definitely not. As much as, I'm a surgeon, I wear masks in the OR, but do I like wearing masks 24 hours a day when I'm outside of the house? No, but I'm not really changing any of my behaviors. Maybe I'll be a little less anxious, but I just, because I'll feel more protected, but I'll still wear a mask. It's still not known, because the vaccine trials are only several months old, whether people who are immunized can or cannot transmit the virus if they're exposed. It's highly unlikely, but for now we are saying that it's certainly possible, with so much prevalence of this virus, that say a fully immunized person gets exposed to COVID, we don't really get sick, but a few of the viral particles replicate, and then we can spread it to others. And so it's really to protect others. And the vaccines are 95% effective. That's really, really great. It's not 100%. So there are going to be some people who are immunized with with the regular and the booster from any of this vaccine. And some of them may, there are going to be some that slip through, and we don't know, given how many people are getting sick right now, we don't know if we're in that 5% that are not fully protected. So you can still get COVID if you're one of the 5% who are not protected from the vaccine.
One of the beautiful examples that I like to share is that, like, you wear a seatbelt, right? And I mean, the wearing the seatbelt, that doesn't mean that you want to actually have accidents to make sure that it works. Then,
Right.
protect yourself, try to have your space, and that way you don't have any other extra headaches.
Right.
Dr. Shapiro, we're getting to the last part of this conversation. Right now we are getting to the last part of the year. We know that whenever we gather, we can share joy, happiness, and COVID-19. We already did it in Thanksgiving. Do you have any words of wisdom right now that we're getting to the last part of the year?
I am begging. This is really, in Los Angeles and so many places around the country and the world, this is the worst we've ever seen. And unfortunately, it's probably not the worst that we will see going forward. The more people who really stay home, stay with the people who are under your own roof, use Zoom or any sort of platform, social distancing. This is the time that we really need to hunker down, because we are just at our worst. And unfortunately, it may get worse than it is now. So as a gift to yourself and to your community, continue to stay home in these next few weeks. We've got to get through this. And then, everyone thinks that, what they do really doesn't make a difference. It's sort of like voting. We all want to vote and use our voice. You can use your efforts by contributing and staying home. I think that's really important. I know it's hard. It's hard for all of us. We all miss our extended families and friends, but this is really the time that we should not be getting together. We should not be gathering in person at all, even outdoors. I think there is nothing safe right now. I think one way to think about it, certainly in Los Angeles and in many cities, is assume everybody with whom you are in contact has COVID-19. And I think if you just assume that everybody has it, you will be a little more on, vigilant and stay away and protect yourself and protect others by doing that.
Dr. Shapiro, thank you so much always for saying yes, for all the crazy ideas. I hope to have more of this. And I love, I love your book. I love the way that you express everything. And, our community actually needs to be aware of this, and we need to be part of this. And we wish everybody that, to have a beautiful holidays. And it's more important to actually have these weird artificial virtual holidays and have many more hugging each other than this one to be the last one.
Yes.
Then that's something to actually cherish and have in our hearts. And there's every time that we bend the rules, like just one more person, just the auntie, just everything else, we're slightly opening the door for COVID-19 to actually come and hit us. And take care of yourself. We need all of you sane, and we want to keep everybody outside of the hospitals, the ERs, and the clinics, and to make sure that you're healthy. And that's it, Doctora.
Thank you
so much.
Great to see you.
Don't run away. I'm going to end this, and I will be with you in 1 second.
Okay.
Familia, well, thank you very much for actually being with us today. Follow us, because we're going to have the Línea de Ayuda with Univision in a couple of hours, actually, like now. Then you probably will see a lot of the stuff, and we're trying to help the community. Then thank you so much, and have fun. Please share this video, and we are here to help you in any way that we can. Thank you.